temporary ceasefire reached between the U.S. and Iran.
All I know is that this regime should come to an end.
There was no reason to invade Iran at this point.
As Calgary's Iranian community and the world watch on. After multiple court delays, a verdict in the disturbing case of an accused serial rapist.
Somebody in the public will know something about the disappearance of Mr. Condos.
And Calgary police revive a 20-year-old missing persons cold case.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Camilla DiGiuseppe.
Good evening. The United States and Iran have reached an 11th-hour ceasefire deal hours after President Donald Trump threatened to obliterate Iran's whole civilization if it did not reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The two-week pause in fighting between the warring nations was brokered by Pakistan just 90 minutes before Trump said he would unleash a fury of attacks. Earlier tonight, Trump announced online that he is suspending attacks on Iran for those 2 weeks, but that it's contingent on the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign affairs minister confirmed the country will allow ships to pass through in coordination with Iranian armed forces. Iran had proposed a 10-point peace plan, which Trump called, quote, workable. Both countries are expected to begin talks in Islamabad this Friday. Iran's National Security Council emphasized that the ceasefire does not signify the end of the war. Meanwhile, Calgarians worried for loved ones in Iran are gripped with fear and divided on what should happen next. Alicia Fieldberg reports.
Donald Trump threatened Iran to sign a deal or face bombs on its power plants and bridges. People in Calgary with friends and family in Iran are gripped with fear.
In shock and pain and uncertainties everywhere.
A lot of relatives back home, it's been like 2 months, I never heard from them. One of them was shot last time that I talked to him, and I don't even know if he is alive.
Via social media, President Trump gave an 8 p.m. Eastern deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or a whole civilization will die tonight and never be brought back again. Iran responded saying if Trump follows through on his threat, it will deprive the U.S. and its allies of the region's oil and gas for years. But now a 2-week reprieve.
Now he's crying.
Still, some Iranians think foreign military intervention necessary to stop an oppressive and violent regime.
All I know is that this regime should come to an end. This is only hope that left for us.
Others say the answer lies with diplomacy.
There was no reason to invade Iran at this point because negotiations were going on, and they should have focus on the negotiation because ultimately anything can be resolved by peace and dialogue.
Striking civilian targets is a war crime, and Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney urged caution.
Canada expects all parties in this conflict, in any conflict, to respect international laws, the rules of engagement, and that means not targeting certainly civilians or civilian infrastructure.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Calgary.
A verdict has finally been reached in a disturbing case of an accused serial rapist. Richard Robert Mantha stood accused of drugging and assaulting multiple women at his rural property east of Calgary. He was convicted of some charges, but the majority were thrown out. Jacqueline Wilson reports.
Richard Robert Mantha has been found guilty of 6 of the original 20 charges against him, involving 4 of 7 complainants. It's not the outcome Jackie Meyer, with her victory, was hoping for.
Unfortunately, we are extremely disappointed.
Some of the victims were sex workers, and in some cases, Mantha picked them up, drove them to an acreage outside of the city, and attacked them. Officers conducted extensive searches of Mantha's trailer and ramshackle property. In other cases, the interactions happened at a hotel and a home in Calgary. Ultimately, the judge convicted the 62-year-old of sexually assaulting 3 women and drugging one of them, along with using a phone as a weapon and choking during the attacks. Mantha was also found guilty of uttering threats against a 4th fourth woman. The justice dismissed charges involving 2 other complainants, and charges involving a 7th woman were previously dropped after she passed away.
We work with these women. We've been supporting them the last couple years through this trial. It took a lot of encouragement and it took a lot of courage to get these women to come forward with their statements, and then just to be dismissed is very disappointing.
The defense and Crown declined interviews, but the Crown says in a statement, in part, they are thankful to the witnesses who came forward, recognizing it has been a challenging time for them.
It does bring a sense of fear back to these women that he possibly could be released, just being that there's been time served, depending on what comes down in the sentencing.
Criminal justice professor Doug King thinks Mantha will be in prison for a while, even with time served, and the sentence is likely being served concurrently.
The more serious charges in terms of length of sentence would be the ones related to administering a noxious item. That can get you up to 14 years of, so that's federal time. Sexual assault causing bodily harm can get you up to 14 years. Uttering a threat is up to 5 years.
The Crown prosecutor tells CTV News sentencing discussions will begin Friday. Mantha will appear via CCTV link. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
Sentencing arguments will begin on Friday. The Court of Appeal has denied a convicted murderer's bid to overturn his verdict. Devon Shedrick was found guilty of first-degree murder in the 2022 killing of 34-year-old Sean McCormack. McCormack was shot to death in a Forest Lawn home, and his body was found wrapped in a comforter dumped in an alley in Upper Mount Royal. Shedrick's lawyer argued the jury's instructions were fatally flawed and the verdict was unreasonable. But the appeal court disagreed. McCormack's girlfriend, Laura Lavarado, was found guilty of manslaughter after she urged Shedrick to mess up McCormack. The judge in her case stated even though Lavarado was in a violent and abusive relationship with the victim, the taking of a life must still be denounced. 20 years have now passed since the disappearance of Calgarian Clayton Condos, but investigators are convinced someone out there knows something that could crack the decades-old cold case. Clayton Condo's mother was the last person to see him on Monday, March 20th, 2006. The two had met near Brentwood Mall in the city's northwest. All prints of life linked to the 20-year-old ceased just days later, and despite no evidence of foul play, the case has been deemed suspicious. Condos, along with some of his associates, had run-ins with police, but investigators say nothing indicates he was in any distress, calling his disappearance out of character.
We don't believe that he had any intention of up and moving to a different country or a different area. Don't believe he also had the means to do so. So we say suspicious in that it was out of character for the family to not have any further contact. We haven't found any remains.
Police say they are using advanced DNA technologies to assist in their investigation and have remained in contact with Condo's family, who say they are hopeful they'll get some closure. If you have any information about this case, you are urged to call police or Crime Stoppers. A public health alert has been issued after someone with measles spent time in the Rocky View Hospital emergency department. The exposure happened on April 4th between 10:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Anyone in the ER during that period is asked to watch for signs of measles. If symptoms do develop, you should call the measles hotline before going to any healthcare facility. The best protection against the measles is 2 doses of the MMR vaccine. Alberta's opposition leader is calling on the Premier to fire Justice Minister Mickey Amery. Naheed Nenshi is accusing Amery of political interference. It has to do with the Sam Maraish, the CEO of MH Care Medical, an Edmonton-based medical supplier. According to the Globe and Mail investigation, Amery shortened the amount of time Elections Alberta has to penalize political donation violations. It says Maraish was under investigation for a complaint against political donations. Nenshi says Amery and Maraish are not only related through marriage, they're best friends.
Even if there's nothing here, this looks bad, the conflict of interest is apparent, and the government needs to be able to say, look, nothing shady is going on here, so let's reopen the investigations, let's fire Mickey Amery, and let's have a public inquiry.
CTV News has reached out to both Amory and the Premier's office for comment. We have not yet heard back. Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation is hoping a Court of King's Bench judge will shut down a petition for an Alberta separation referendum. Members of the First Nation say allowing it to go forward would violate their treaty rights. Amanda Anderson reports.
A third-floor courtroom was packed when the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation asked a judge for an interim order to stop a separation referendum.
It didn't need to get to this point, but now that we're here, we really want to express to all governments that, First Nations aren't going anywhere.
Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation Chief Sheldon Sunshine says the potential referendum question asking if Alberta should separate from Canada is a violation of treaty rights.
Our treaties were signed with the Crown, British Crown. And the responsibility was passed on to Canada to uphold that obligation. And that can't be unilaterally passed across. We're not some chattel on the land where we can be passed around and be somebody else's responsibility.
The group Stay Free Alberta started the petition. Last week, the group said it collected more than the 178,000 signatures needed to trigger a referendum a month before its deadline to submit them to Elections Alberta.
They're seeking an injunction prohibiting the Chief Electoral Officer of Alberta from transmitting the official count of signatures to the Alberta Legislature.
Jeff Rath, who was at the hearing as an observer for Stay Free Alberta, says the referendum is simply a question.
This is where we're at. There's a process for First Nations consultation. It only takes place in the framework of a non-hypothetical situation, which would be after a yes vote. And they actually have a constitutional guarantee of a place at the constitutional table under Section 35.1.
The First Nation disagrees. Its lawyer says the language in Bill 14, Alberta's Justice Statutes Amendment Act, is binding. She also described the bill as a welcome mat for foreign interference. The court also heard since the start of the petition campaign, incidents of racism as well as mis- and disinformation about treaties is on the rise. While hopeful the injunction is granted, Chief Sunshine worries the provincial government will just change the legislation to circumvent the court ruling.
Should we win, then they'll make accommodations again. So, that's our expectation.
The same petition will be back before a judge Wednesday for a judicial review. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Danielle is in with our first look at the weather. It's early spring, so what doesn't happen?
I know. Today was a bit of a whirlwind, you could say, because it started off with basically blizzard-like conditions in many parts of the city with that wet snow falling, reducing visibility, making it tricky to get around. And then in the afternoon hours, closer to 4, we even had thunder snow in parts of the city, which is basically a thunderstorm, but with snow rather than rain. So an interesting day, absolutely. Tomorrow will be cold to start with a wind chill of -9, but it will look really nice out there, mainly sunny. The clouds will increase in the afternoon hours, and by the supper hours, we get into the potential for some isolated showers, and then switching over to more of that wet snow overnight. And then we have a nice long stretch of some warmer, bright weather. I'll show you that just ahead.
All right, Danielle, thank you. Calgary Council is considering a permanent outdoor watering schedule. It's part of the city's larger plan to reduce water usage. Why the mayor isn't fully on board. Calgarians braved the chilly conditions this evening for Green Shirt Day with a march near the Bow River. Inspired by the Logan Boulet effect, the Southern Alberta chapter of the Kidney Foundation of Canada hosted the walk to encourage people to register as an organ donor. The young hockey player died in the 2018 Humboldt Broncos bus crash, but had signed up to be an organ donor just prior, resulting in 6 lives saved. Tonight, the Calgary Tower was also aglow in green. More than 4,000 Canadians are currently waiting for a life-saving transplant. Calgary is considering a permanent outdoor water schedule as the city aims to curb overall usage over the next 15 years. It's part of a broader plan for water sustainability as our rivers try to keep up with a growing city. But some say there are other options that should be considered before more restrictions are put in place. Jordan Canigan reports.
Even as snow blankets the ground, the city is looking ahead to possible water changes for the hottest summer days.
The outdoor use is targeting the watering of lawns, based on sprinklers or irrigation systems. So it's really about trying to reduce the use of treated drinking water to water lawns.
An 11-point plan to reduce water usage includes an outdoor watering schedule. They're also exploring more incentives for water-friendly landscapes and efficient fixtures and appliances. If all are approved by council, it would mean homes would only be allowed to use sprinklers on even or odd days, depending on their address.
We're now asking Calgarians to sacrifice and not have a high-pressured shower, or not to go and get a sprinkler on a hot summer day or water their lawns. So I don't think Calgarians are going to be happy about it.
Calgary is aiming to reduce water use by 20% by the year 2040, as it protects the city's two rivers and the infrastructure that treats and distributes water.
So this really provides an opportunity for Calgary to implement something that has had successful measures across the board, and to really have our residents be able to make an actionable plan.
But Calgary loses about 20% of its water through leaks in an aging system. The plan would see hundreds of millions of dollars fast-tracked to try and repair that system. And some on council say that should be handled before more rules are put in place.
For me, it's really important for us to actually look at the city's own business first before asking Calgarians to change their behaviors.
Let's fix our own backyard first before we start telling other people what to do.
Jordan Canigan, CTV News, Calgary.
The city says it's doing a proactive assessment of a section of the Bearspaw South feeder main. If all goes as planned, there will be no impact on water service. A robotic pipe diver will be inspecting the northwest section between the treatment plant and the 33rd Avenue pump station. The pipe diver takes about 2 hours to go through the 2-kilometer stretch. The city says it will receive the data in a month, which will inform future plans. The public hearing portion of Calgary's blanket rezoning repeal wrapped up today. The city says 554 members of the public registered to speak. 411 showed up to share their thoughts. Over 3,200 written submissions were also received. Ward 4 Councillor DJ Kelly says the repeal side of the zoning debate makes up the majority of the feedback. Tomorrow morning, councillors will start putting their questions to administration before any amendments or motions are introduced. Well, Danielle's up next with her Skywatch forecast, and she's promising some warmer weather down the stretch. Those details next.
All right, well, today was on the cooler side for sure, and we started off in parts of the city with a blizzard-like conditions, with that wet snow that just melted down the side. I was stuck in it. Many of you were stuck in it. The worst is done. We still have the potential for some isolated flurries. I'll tell you when in just a second here. 3 degrees was the high in Calgary. A normal daytime high for the city at this time of year is 10 degrees. So we're well below normal. We did get to 12 in Pincher Creek earlier. We got into the double digits earlier into the far south as well, even the teens for Lethbridge. It was a gusty day overall. Calgary, we almost got to 70 kilometers per hour, and that's where we got in Pincher Creek, and in the 60s for Lethbridge and Medicine Hat. The winds will be a lot calmer for tomorrow. If you live closer to the Saskatchewan border, Medicine Hat area, for example, 40 kilometer per hour gusts, that's an improvement. And everywhere else, we're just looking at 15 to 30 kilometers per hour. Much calmer tomorrow with regards to the winds, and the conditions will be better as well. So the core of this system is now pushing off into Saskatchewan. You can see that counterclockwise spin. That's pushing air up the mountains. That's creating that upsloping, and that's leading to these isolated pockets of flurries that are now dying out for the night. However, closer to the Saskatchewan border, we will still have these pockets of flurries lasting right up until about 8:30 in the morning in some spots. So isolated, but that is the potential. Everywhere else, though, skies will be mainly clear for the morning, and we are looking at sunshine to kick off the day. The clouds will increase in the afternoon hours, especially by later in the day, and by the supper hours in the city, we have the potential for a couple isolated showers and then switching over to some wet snow. Trace to about 2 centimeters possible. Again, a lot of that melting off pretty quick in the morning hours when the sun comes out. And then this will slump to the south in those overnight hours, and then we're done for a while. So again, looking at totals from this little blip on Wednesday night, anywhere from trace to 2 centimeters possible in most communities in southern Alberta, Calgary included. All right, be prepared for a cold start tomorrow morning, -9 with the wind chill. We'll get up to +5 in the afternoon. Again, that's still below normal, so this is more of a transition day. And then we still have that blip of mixed precipitation starting in the supper hours. Then we get up to 8 with mainly sunny skies on Thursday. Really nice day. Into the teens for Friday and Saturday. And then our next system rolls in on Sunday. That will drop the temperature once again and give us some more mixed precipitation.
And some nice weather by Friday and Saturday. Thanks, Danielle. Debating a gondola to the peak of Mount Lady McDonald. How some residents feel about the proposal to increase tourism in the Bow Valley. That's next. The Sparrow Art Space is hosting 3 immigrant artists for the next 6 weeks called the Shared Flight Collective. 2 of the artists are from Mexico and Germany and now call Calgary home, and the third is a Colombian living in Mexico. All of them sharing stories of immigration and working under one roof on their own art. Sparrow Art Space is hosting workshops with the artists during their residency. For more information, head to our website. A gondola that would be open year-round is being proposed in Canmore. The project would go up on Mount Lady McDonald in the Silvertip area. It's the latest proposal under Alberta's All-Season Resorts Act. Here's Tyler Barrow.
Silvertip Resort in Canmore wants to add a gondola. It would start here just off the side of the Trans-Canada Highway before touching down in the Silvertip Village. It would eventually take tram riders 3/4 of the way to Mount Lady McDonald.
There's probably 90% of people that can't hike up the mountain to the old Mount Lady McDonald Tea House, so this would be an all-inclusive project for everybody.
It would feature viewing platforms along with a day lodge at the top with a restaurant. Turcotte estimates 200,000 to 300,000 people would ride it every year. It would be built over the Bow Valley Wildland Park. The developer, Stone Creek Resorts, is in the initial engagement steps, including this open house to have the land designated as an all-season resort area by the province.
We engage with Albertans, we take a look at the actual land, make sure it's compatible, there's alignment.
Carl Griffith's home backs up onto Silvertip Golf Course where he has a view of Mount Lady McDonald. He is against the proposal.
It's a disgrace. It will spoil the area. It will spoil the peace and tranquility of Canmore.
A sentiment shared by many in the town.
We already are full, basically. There's already too much tourism in the Bow Valley.
Stone Creek Resort says the project won't add more people to the area, but rather create another amenity for visitors. Wildlife and habitat baseline studies are being completed, which will feed into its required environmental assessment. Conservationists fear it could present challenges.
Negatively impact wildlife that use the top of the mountain and also the wildlife that use the movement corridor that's lower on the slopes of that same mountain.
Public engagement will be held until May 11th, and from there the province has 150 days to review the project. If approved, Stone Creek Resorts could start planning for development. Building won't begin for another year. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Canmore.
All right, that's it for us here at CTV News at 11:30. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.